Hi there, welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where father and son sit down and talk about fantasy books. I'm the son of that equation, Zach.
And I'm the father, Jim. Thanks for joining us, everyone, as we finally get back together to talk more about the Wheel of Time today,
Mhm.
finishing our breakdown discussion of the prologue of Lord of Chaos.
That one.
Yeah, it's good to be here. We've spent the last 15 minutes trying to get this episode going because technology gremlins have conspired evilly to make it troublesome and perhaps make me want to quit, and I refuse. But
I think it's
I'm like,
just appropriate that in a generational show, the old man is the one having technical difficulties.
seriously, even on my computer, as I look at it, I'm still appearing glitchy. I don't know if I'm appearing glitchy to you. Hopefully
I
not.
see it crystal clear.
Oh, good. So maybe it is just me. But hey, in a show with generational things, let's not go there too much because everybody would be like, why isn't Zach running the tech? The old guy doesn't know anything.
Nah, it's fine. We're good.
Well, aside from tech trouble, it is good to see you, Zach. It's always great to get together and talk about fantasy, science fiction,
Mhm.
other nerdy stuff, as we've already said, um, and drink something.
Valid?
It's Friday. We're doing this on a Friday, so you're drinking something, I'm sure, hard, kicking back for the weekend.
No, I woke up this morning dealing with some postnasal drip. I know, sorry, gross. But I
Just get
feel
over
just
that before I come visit you.
oh, I
Ooh,
plan on it. I'm just feeling a little bit funky in
okay.
the GI tract because of it.
Play that funky
So we
music. Oh,
just
sorry.
got some Sprite. Keep it keep it chill.
All right. Well, I have a drink that looks like Sprite.
It's not.
It's not Sprite. No. This is actually one that I'll post on our drink channel. Actually, in our Discord, if you join us on Discord, you get to see drink recipes from time to time. This is already on our drink channel for episode 232, but I didn't give it a fancy name, so it's not a wattail. It's just a cocktail that I found a recipe for. It's elder gin. So it's mostly gin. It's got a little Saint Germain, which is an elderflower liqueur,
Hmm.
and a couple dashes of Angostura bitters, orange bitters, shaken in ice and then poured over ice.
Okay, I gotta follow up and ask Angostura specifically orange bitters or just Angostura bitters?
Angostura bitters, which are orange bitters.
No, they are not.
Yes,
Angostura
they
does make
are.
orange bitters, but
Oh,
Angostura is not orange bitters.
when I think of Angostura bitters, I'm thinking of orange bitters because that's the
Yeah, no,
primary
Angostura is a
thing.
brand of bitters, and one of their most popular is orange.
Well, I used their most popular, and it did not call for Angostura bitters. No, I think it did. Anyways, it called for Angostura orange bitters, and that's what I
There
used.
you go.
Okay, what a rabbit hole. So I'll sip that, and you'll sip your Sprite. We'll talk a little chaos. Uh,
A little bit.
updates to coming out. We will have a chance to do one or two episodes coming up soon in person again because your mother and I are coming down to visit in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to it.
It'll be good.
It's been crazy
The place
for a
might
while
be
for me,
clean.
so it'd be nice to take a break and just hi, let's tour Texas.
Well, some of it.
Tiny bit of Texas.
Just a tiny little piece.
Yeah, so that's that. Otherwise, like I said, things have been busy, so always got to slow down, break again, come, just get away from the work rush. I love my job, but it's busy, crazy. Um, let's see, what else should we talk about here before we move into Lord of Chaos?
I don't know what we got.
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to one of our Patreon supporters.
Oh yeah.
We have a Patreon. Look down in the show notes. Support us on Patreon. We appreciate you. But one of our Patreon supporters, one of our first, Eric Hahn, he's soon to self-publish his first book.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It's a fantasy novel. It's targeted for young people, so like 5th grade, 6th grade. You can enjoy it a little older, but it's like lost old YA. It's got a message that the Safari browser just in the background. like crashed. I'm telling you, the tech gremlins, they're here. They're
They hate
real.
you. They hate
I
you
don't know what's going
so
on
much
here.
tonight.
I'm still glitchy all over on my computer screen. It's weird. Okay, so anyways, his book, I posted about it on our Twitter feed because I got to read it, an arc of it. Jake the Dragon Talker. It was entertaining. Again, it's aimed at 10 to 12-year-olds, so it reads
Which
like
is
that, but it reads
very hit or
perfect
miss for
for that
you.
age. Yeah, it reads perfect for that age level. What did you just say?
It's just that age group, it's very hit or miss for you. You're very much like an anti
Ah,
Percy Jackson, but that's like really good for that age group. So
right, right. So I enjoyed it, and it'll be available to people soon. He's learning how to self-publish, like how to do it himself, all of it. Even he's got some artistic bends, so he's designing the cover and everything. But it will be out soon. So that was that. I don't see anything else I want to say other than talking about what we're reading. So, what are you reading, Zach?
a couple of things. Let's see. I finished White Knight. I don't think that was. I think it was since we last talked. And I've started Raymond E. Feist's Rift War books with Magician Apprentice. I'm annoyed by the fact that I actually am enjoying this book.
Because it's
Not
old.
because
You're liking an old
that's the
book.
thing. It's written not in an uppity old style. Like that feels harsh to older books, but sometimes it's like the style of the prose loses me.
Mm-hmm.
That this one's not there. This one has a little bit more of the feel of early 90s and on with how it carries itself, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be something I can probably enjoy. And there's a lot of books in this, isn't there? Darn.
There's over 30 books in the entire series.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's okay.
But
I'm on the first one.
And on the bright side, it's in a series of arcs that
Yeah.
kind of are self-contained arcs, but then tie to a greater story. So you only have to read like the first 4 books before you could pause without an issue.
Well, I can pause at any point
Yeah, I
because I
know,
will.
because you're weird.
Um,
Okay.
but no, that's been sitting on my shelf at this point for like 2 years, so I'm finally reading it. I just kept putting other things before it. Glad I'm getting around to it. The other thing, I finished Tiamat's Wrath, and rather than jumping around, I decided, you know what? I'm on the last book of The Expanse. Let's just go into it. And so I am finally reading Leviathan Falls,
Nice.
finishing off The Expanse.
All right. It's got a good finish. I hope you enjoy it. As for me, I just finished the 3rd book, The Dark Tower by Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
His epic fantasy series.
Okay.
3rd book was great. This is all reread for me, except for one novella in the middle that I have to yet, that I will read in the proper order here. Not publication order, but where he meant to stick it in after he wrote it later, realizing there was a little thing missing from the story that he needed to flesh out. So I have one more book of the regular series to read, and then the novella will fit in. But I'm not going right into it. I'm taking a break because right now, underneath me here, Convergence, book 3 in a Shrouded World by Mark Tufo and John O'Brien is what I just jumped back into. I was waiting till I had more Audible credits. So I have credits. I can do that. I did just recently over here finish The Sunlit Man, book 4 of Sanderson's The Year of Sanderson.
His secret novel.
And I have just moved back into Malazan after a little pause doing things. Yeah, it's the one right there, Midnight Tides, book 5 of Malazan. And that's 5 of the 10 core novels. So I'm almost halfway through the core, which is great.
Not all the other extra things.
No, there's so many other extras. I haven't touched any of them yet. I will read my first of the extras after book 5. That's where they get recommended. You start tossing some of those in. So cool.
I don't know if you're hearing. I think Rolly might want to be on the podcast.
I totally hear Rolly. Yeah, totally hear. But no, Rolly can wait till I meet him in person soon.
Oh.
Or you can just get him at some point. Whatever.
Nah, he's out there. He's fine. He's got rage.
Enough of mercilessly putting people through waiting as we talk about Florianon, whatever, I made up a phrase. Let's get into more of Lord of Chaos Prologue.
Let's do it.
Massive prologue, so much to it. We get it in a whole episode, but we will finish it today. It makes sense that it's so big because this is book 6 of this massive scope of the Wheel of Time series. There's a lot of plot lines going on now, and Jordan uses these prologues to catch us up on all these little bits before then he dives a little longer into whichever the main plot lines will be focused on in a given book.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and at this point, there's enough of these plot lines that aren't merged right now that it's like, no, we have to stop in at like 17 different places just to have a baseline of, okay, where are we?
Right. The prologue is loaded with foreshadowing. So there's tons of implications of the things you see here that we can't tell you about because we're committed to spoiler light. But stick around for the spoiler room, and I'm sure we'll talk about 2 of them today. All right. Well, we get to start in a lovely place with a fantastic character. Can you see what I was doing?
I'm just assuming it's sarcastic on your end. Not because I think that necessarily.
My tongue was firmly in my cheek. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure our audio-only listeners definitely enjoyed that joke.
They're shouting at their audio feed. No, I can't see what you're doing. Yeah. I'm going to start with Gawain Tricand, leader of the Younglings. Remind us.
The Younglings are the group that got slaughtered by Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith.
Wrong series. I mean, that's true. That's true. But
sorry if I'm spoiling something for you. This happened when I was a child. At like best, 66. Arguably when you were a child, it was known about. So like, I don't think it's that spoilery. No. The Younglings are a group of warder potentials and trainees and such, and
can we say warder wannabes?
You could say that, but they were warder gonnabes, maybe even still gonnabes, possibly. That when
that's a good point you mentioned. I'll hit on that in a moment. That was a good point. Keep going.
The Tower Schism occurred, and Gawain made his stance, and it kind of attracted a number of these warder maybe wanna bees to be on his side, which was loosely the side of down with the Amyrlin, protect the White Tower, what they saw as order. But not every warder believed that. Some were like, no, I stand with my Aes Sedai, who said, no, this Elida lady is doing things funky, or Swan Sanche is not that bad. And so a lot of people died, and the Younglings are kind of their own little militia at this point, led by Gawain Tricand.
Yeah. So a few things we learn here about the Younglings. Their numbers have grown since the coup in the White Tower. Coup if you're with a certain group of Aes Sedai. Rightful fixing things if you're with the other group of Aes Sedai.
Deposition.
And why have they grown? Well, their reputation of something special is just attracting a certain type of young man who wants to come and be part of this new thing. They only accept the inexperienced. This is something Gawain has just decided. No one who's served in military elsewhere. No one who's already been a guard of some house. No mercenaries. These have to be guys who are coming just like they came. They came to be trained at the tower. They were fresh. They were green. Now, Younglings will accept ones like that, and they will train them up.
Which I want to just start by saying, Gawain bullshit. You came in with a bunch of training already.
Training, yes, but he didn't serve soldier.
Heck, he has a duty not here.
But they would accept anybody who comes to them who just trained with their dad.
That's not what his is.
They'll take them, though. That's my point. Okay. Hey, he's a noble, pretentious lord. He can make up the rules the way he wants them.
He's saying the rules don't apply to me because I'm in charge.
Well, that sounds about right.
For people, they need to apply partially so that I know that they will be loyal to me.
Maybe. What have they been up to? They've been patrolling the land around Tarvalon. They previously have chased off the White Cloaks. Now, a lot of the White Cloaks left when Eamon Valda just withdrew. They don't know why they left, but they had left a few of them behind who then started becoming troublemakers.
Rabble rousers.
Yeah, and the younglings cleaned that up. So those guys are gone. Now they are aware there are Aiel in the area, so that's something they can be on the watch for. And actually, right here, right now, they've been sucked into intentionally accompanying an Aes Sedai delegation to meet up with some Aiel emissaries. They're not always told everything, so when they were scooped up to come with us as a group of Aes Sedai left the tower, they didn't tell them why at first. And there's partly a reason that the Aes Sedai don't like the younglings. Okay, there's a little resentment, and this is where I go back to what you made, that comment of warder gunnabees. Right now, they're not acting like they want to be warders at all. They are their own force. They follow Gawain.
A private militia that follows Gawain.
Not Aes Sedai. So they don't take orders from any of them. All these guys take orders from Gawain. And Gawain,
it's arguable that this is a White Tower force. It's also arguable this is an Andorran force. It's also arguable that this is equivalent to a band of brigands. They don't really have an allegiance to anyone except for Gawain.
I hear what you're saying. I'll give you a different term than brigands. Mercenaries.
They're not getting paid.
But they're not doing unlawful things, which is what comes with brigands. So neither term's quite right.
Pure point is that their authority is potentially unlawful. It's not actually sanctioned by any specific group.
There's a good term. They are an unsanctioned group. Absolutely. But they don't seem to be doing harm. They seem to honestly be trying to work for what they perceive as the good, as what needs to be done. So there's a mission right now where they have been sucked up into it. And okay, part of it here is clearly that they're accompanying Aes Sedai, maybe keeping them safe while they're meeting some Aiel, except these Aes Sedai have their warders with them. I mean, those who have warders, a couple of the delegation are red, so no warders there.
No.
But they do have their own warders. So why are they with them? I mean, let's flip that. Why did God even agree to go with these Aes Sedai? Well, there is something that they've learned. So we got to back up a step to understand what. And that is, you mentioned that during the chaos in the White Tower, the Younglings, Gawain, they decided to side against the old Amyrlin, Swan Sanche, and to side with protecting White Tower. Why did he even do that? Well, what is the deal? You know, why would Gawain side with the White Tower?
It's kind of built into him a little bit. This is more or less an appeal to his tradition. His mother came and studied here. His sister was studying here. He was studying here. Andor and the Royal Throne have a long history with the White Tower. And so it was like, okay, it makes sense to protect the White Tower. Elaine's still trying to be an Aes Sedai. I should maintain those bridges, keep that available. Also, there's some other people, Egwene, who I think are hot and want to be Aes Sedai, so I should also keep that avenue open. And if I'm still around here, maybe I'll be here when she gets back from wherever she is.
So really, it's about a woman. Okay, you know, I mean, that's definitely part of it. I agree with you. But he does not trust Aes Sedai, so there's some tension. He has these reasons you just laid out of why he's still siding with, supporting the White Tower, but he doesn't like Aes Sedai. He doesn't trust these women at all.
Keep in mind, he also let Swan Sanche and company leave.
Yeah, that's a mess. They ever find out about that?
His allegiances are kind of in question, and I don't think anyone's really under the false presumption that he's 100% Elida. No, everyone knows that he's not that simple, and he's got a very large force of younglings that are ready to fight for him.
that keep growing. They get more and more all the time. Yeah. So that's a thing. And hey, we've got a Mies with us here in our Discord. Welcome. Glad to have you with us. Because we're talking Lord of Chaos and it's fun. So yeah, wow. He's a mess here. He's got all these conflicting. Gawain has all these conflicting issues here. He supports the White Tower. He doesn't trust Elida. And they can't trust him because he doesn't just take these. You said warder Gunnabys aren't really showing any interest in being warders anymore.
No, they're good with being younglings.
Yeah, and that's not what I said I like. They want people who, when they say jump, the response is how high. And they're not getting that. They're getting why.
Let's draw a fun little parallel here to Matt and his recently formed band that had allegiances elsewhere and suddenly are like, nah, we're the band of the Red Hand, Lord Matt.
That's pretty good, actually.
And it's these things that these young, charismatic leaders who are victorious in a battle and inspire the people with them. And it's like suddenly all these other ties, they don't matter as much as this new appealing thing. And maybe this is all just different instances of the wheel showing, hey, the dragon comes up and banners don't matter as much. And it's showing in other places too.
Got it. I'm seeing the note that you're echoing in Discord, but I don't think we can do anything about that because that's you coming through my mic.
Oh yeah, no, I'm echoing from you.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything I can do about that, is there? I was having problems with my headphones. Why? We're doing it this way. And again, I might be able to hardwire headphones.
You know what? I do it.
I have them.
I'll wait.
I have them right here. Look at this. I haven't worn these in forever, but I have them.
Do they still work?
Oh man, Amis just made me hungry. Look at that.
Ooh.
Beautiful charcuterie board showed up right there in our Discord server. If you want to see such pictures, people, join our Discord.
Okay. I did technically make dinner before this, but I could go for charcuterie. There's always room for extra things, including charcuterie and dessert. And if you didn't make room for dessert, you're forgetting your extra stomach.
It didn't work for some reason.
That's because you need to still change your audio in the settings.
Oh no, now I can't hear you. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Oh man.
What flavor?
I have to plug my headphones back in. That's why I can't hear you. That was good. Okay, I should be able to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. The chaos. We've been having some major tech difficulties today, so why did I even try that?
Peppermint bark sounds so good.
Except I hate peppermint bark. Mudslide sounds good.
You can go have the mudslide or something. Peppermint bark is delish. I agree.
People who can't see our Discord are totally lost now.
But people who can't see our Discord should become patrons and see our Discord so they can get the other half of the conversation. It's a tactic.
Okay, getting back to Elida, Gawain, and the younglings. Here's the mission that they've been finally linked in. Okay, here's why we want you with us. This delegation of Aes Sedai, who are right now meeting with some emissaries from the Aiel, are actually on their way to Cairhien. They're going to Cairhien to meet with the Dragon Reborn, officially authorized by the Amerlin to ask him to come back to the White Tower with them. And the younglings are the honor guard. I mean, they're led by Gawain Trakand of Andor, Prince of Andor. It's supposed to give distinguishment, high honors to the dragon. And they are able to tell that Elida plans to officially announce the White Tower's support for the Dragon Reborn. So
now this makes sense. In the pot. Yeah, this makes sense as the natural follow-up to the letter that we saw at the end of the last book. But it's also a little problematic because, yeah, Gawain's the honor guard escort. It's an honor. Except there's also a certain perception in the world that, Rand just took over where he's Prince of the Sword. So, Is it an honor guard? Is it actually respectful, or is it like a subtle? It's a threat. What's going on
Gawain
here?
doesn't know that
Oh,
yet.
Gawain doesn't. The world does. Gawain's about 5 steps behind. Because
Now,
the Aes Sedai with him, they probably know. They just haven't
just
told.
with what Gawain knows, though, he's shocked that Elida would announce her support of the Dragon Reborn. Why?
I mean, truthfully, because he's met Rand
Yeah.
and he saw what Elida thought of Rand, and he saw what he thought of Rand. This isn't a guy that you would be like, yeah, that's the Dragon Reborn. And
He's
yeah,
just a farm
we
boy with straw in
we
his hair.
put all of our power and strength of the White Tower behind him and support him. It's like, I'm pretty sure like you wanted him locked up or killed when he just like fell in a garden.
And now, of course, supposedly Rand, the Dragon Reborn, can channel Elida's red. Why would she support a man who can channel? That makes no sense to Gawain either.
It's okay. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people, and we'll get there.
We will. Now, what's the deal with this meeting between the Aiel, who happen to be Shido Aiel Wise Ones, and the Aes Sedai? We don't know yet, because we're in Gawain's POV, and no one's telling Gawain.
No.
But Gawain is finally told something else while he and the younglings are waiting for this little meeting to get done. A peddler comes along and is just passing by. Gawain and the younglings have a little interaction with this peddler. And from the peddler, go all the way back to Pat and Fane coming into the Two Rivers. We know peddlers are the ones that carry news of what they've heard, where they've been, sharing the words. And he does have news. He
It
shared.
may be fair, more accurate to say the peddlers carry gossip, which to a lot of people is the news.
The best news of the day. Wait a second. Half of what's on CNN these days is gossip, I think. How has that changed?
My point is just that the information Gawain gets here isn't necessarily accurate. In fact, 98% of this is false.
Oh no. That couldn't possibly cause problems. One of the things, of course, that he learns is that his mother is dead, Queen Morgane, and maybe the daughter heir, as she hasn't been seen since either.
Also, nope.
And rumor is that the Dragon Reborn is responsible.
Also, nope.
Just like that Gawain, who a few moments earlier was thinking about how weird it is that the White Tower is going to support Rand and that he remembers this Rand al'Thor and he was kind of a likable guy. Now Gawain is thinking what it might be like to stab a sword through Rand al'Thor.
How weird it is that we're supporting this horrible monster that I'm going to murder.
So this is where I'll just say, probably for the first time of 50 dozen before we finish recording the whole thing, Gawain is a putz.
And
all right.
I'm this time gonna disagree with you. It's not his fault. He's misled here. This is not his fault.
Gawain, look! Gullible is written on the ceiling.
No, being told that the going rumor and that a lot of people believe that Rand came in, took over the throne, probably killed your mom, definitely killed her lover. We haven't seen your sister. Maybe she's dead. It's not that unbelievable. And Gawain is not the only one who believes this. He's just the only one important enough to our story that believes it. Well, only one of maybe two.
Fine. Be a Gawain stan. Let's move on to new POV.
Not this time.
The new POV we're going to go to is of one of those Aes Sedai meeting with the Aiel. This one being Katarine Aruden, a red sister. And what do we learn? She's in this tent where the meeting is taking place. We learn that the leader of this delegation of Aiel wise ones, there's just 3 women, is Savannah. Savannah strikes Katarine as a little odd because she's a little flashy.
Especially for an Aiel.
Yeah. This has been a meeting. We learn about how the Aiel may agree to ally with the Aes Sedai.
Mm.
Savannah has a condition to get that to happen, and that's she gets to see the Dragon Reborn when he is defeated, and he will see her. Okay. Corin Sedai is the Grey who's leading the negotiation because, of course, that's what Greys do. They're mediators. And she sort of agrees to this. She uses typical Aes Sedai doublespeak. So what she says could actually be construed a few different ways, but it satisfies Savannah. One of the other wise ones kind of bristles at it as if she saw what Corin just did there. But Savannah, no, she heard what you wanted to hear. Boom. Now I want to ask you,
Yeah.
Savannah specifically said when the Dragon Reborn is defeated.
Yeah.
And the I said I did not correct her in that. What might this comment suggest? Especially in light of what Gawain understands.
Well, let's just say the plan probably isn't to walk over and go, "Oh, Rand, Dragon Reborn, we pledge our fealty to you." It's like, no, that's not the plan here. In fact, maybe it is support, but in a way that he won't see as support.
Maybe.
It may also just be like worming around Savannah and her words and making sure not to engage with stuff. But there's more here than at least Gawain knows.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never noticed Aes Sedai choosing not to share the whole story before.
Nope, me neither.
Other things we learn here. 2 of the other Aes Sedai in the party are named Arian, that's a green one, and Nasun, a brown one. And between those 2, they have 5 warders. Doesn't say which is with whom, but somebody's storing up.
It's probably a 2 and 3 combination, just because I feel like if it was 1 and 4, they'd just say that.
Possibly. Katerin doesn't care for the younglings. We get that as well. So again, many of the Aes Sedai have some issues, resentment perhaps, about these out-of-control younglings. But Katerin, her thoughts are a little harsher. She specifically doesn't like them because these men who supposedly serve the White Tower refuse to become warders. They will not accept the direct control of the Aes Sedai. That is wrong. So maybe the Shido can be helpful in solving this problem. That doesn't sound good.
No, not so great.
No. We also meet as the meeting ends up. It's resolved, and Katerin is just kind of watching things now and thinking things over. That another red sister comes up, Galena Casban. She's the other of the 2 in the party that are red. What's special about Galena, Zach? What do we learn here?
I mean, on the surface, nothing. She's not special, except for the fact that if you're within the Red Aja and maybe a couple of elevated places, other Ajas, you might be aware that this the boss lady.
Yeah.
What she says goes in the Red Aja. The only one who might, and that's a might, have more sway than her would be Elida, as the Amerlin seat formerly red. But even then, within the red, it's probably Galena.
Yeah. So, hush secret outside of the Red Aja, but Galena's, as you say, the boss. But we get another huge secret revealed here to us from Katerin's POV, and that's that both she and Galena are Black Aja. Dun dun dun.
Which, to be fair, at this point, feels like, well, duh. Pretty much every red Aja we've met have been Black Aja. I know they can't all be, right?
Are you implying Elida might be Black Aja?
Well, we're just kind of falling into the whole situation where, like, red shirts die, red Aja are actually Black Aja. It's the same
stereotypes, man. Stereotype.
Yeah.
Fake news. But in this case, it's very true. Katerin and Galena are black. But Katerin didn't know Galena was black until just recently, like just before heading off on this mission, Galena. And so that they know this is a common cause to have. And why it's really relevant here is Katerin is really puzzled. Why are we going along on a mission like this and supporting the Dragon Reborn? And Galena's making it clear because that's our orders from our real boss. If
Uh-oh.
things happen to the Dragon Reborn, people gonna be coming to have things happen to us.
So let's just start here and say, regardless of whether or not Elida is Black Aja, her mission that she sent out is at least serving the purposes of the Great Lord. So maybe it's not the right call.
No. Another POV jump. There's lots of these in the prologue. Takes us to those wise ones who are leaving now, the 3 wise ones who were just here to meeting. And we learn from this POV, we're in specifically Savannah's point of view.
Now, we remember her. We've seen her before. We know her.
We're getting to know her a little better now.
Yeah. She's always kind of been the power behind the voice, the figurehead of Shido things.
So we first met her when she was the widow of Suladric, the chief of the Shido. And then she'd hooked up with Couladin when he was going to become the head of the Shido. And now, well, she's like double widow of power men. So now she's posing as the head of the Shido.
Hey,
that's what's
if
going on
you're
here now.
Chief once removed and chief once removed, you're twice chief once removed, and you just are chief, right? That's how that works.
And the wise ones have agreed, sort of, to listen to her because she's kind of a pain and pushes her way around. It's easier to say, fine, fine, until we can get another man to go back to Ruidian and become the new clan chief.
Right. She's going to keep killing any guy who they choose.
We do get the point very clearly here. Savannah has no intention of seeing it come about that a man goes to become the new clan chief. Savannah likes power. Yeah. Now, she's also been accepted as a wise one, which is a little bizarre because, well, what do we already know from the previous books that you have to do to become a wise one?
You also have to go to Viridian. In fact, to get to this point, theoretically, you'd have to have gone twice.
We also know that you have to apprentice, and she's done no training. She's never been an apprentice. So she's missing key aspects. How the heck does she become one? Well,
because she said she is.
She's pushy. I insist.
Yeah.
Give me this.
She says this is true, and there are enough people with spears who agree with her that the rest have to be like, yes, and that gives her more power.
What's really key is that some of the wise ones conceded. So if all the wise ones had said, no, you cannot be a wise one, she wouldn't be a wise one. But some of them said, all right, we'll go along with it. There's a real problem with this because what does she not have that therefore is gonna skew her judgment and her decisions?
A lot of things. Respect, perspective of the past, humility.
Oh yeah, I don't think she'd ever get that.
Orto. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think she understands her own otter code system.
Is beyond her. Yeah, totally.
She's
I think
she's a bad Aiel.
We have an Aiel with us in the Discord, and she posts, this is an example of the trash of the Shido Aiel. Indeed.
And I'm even going to say, yeah, it's the trash of the Shido Aiel, because there are good Shido.
Yes.
There are Shido that are bad, but they're good Aiel. She's not one of them.
She's not good Shido. She's not good Aiel. She's just trash. Yeah, let's go with that. The other 2 wise ones that are with her are Tharava and Desane. And they are not really in Team Savannah's camp, but they were working with her. Fine. Definitely Desane has a little bit of disdain. I like her name because of that. Disdain for Savannah. She's kind of looking down her nose at her. And we, in Savannah's POV, can see she's looking forward to finding a way to making Desane pay. Perhaps permanently. I'm sure no problem, no trouble is going to come from anything like that.
No, not even a little.
Let's do another POV jump. This
Okay.
time, not just around the camp here. We're going to go in a totally different location.
And now for something completely different.
We move to Morgase. You know, that dead lady who's not dead?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go to her perspective. She is, as it turns out, in Amadecia. We read in the last book that she was fleeing from Camelin and looking for help where she could find Andor, but was kind of having trouble. I mean, she went around saying, "Hi, I'm Queen Morgase, help me." She was trying to do it more subtly with the other people traveling with her, but everywhere they're going, they're just hearing, "Yeah, Queen Morgase sucks." You know, good.
And so by the end, she adopted the same strategy that Merry and Pippin used. That the closer she was to danger, the further she would be from harm. So she went to, some of her biggest rivals and enemies for her entire reign as queen, as maybe future allies.
How many different fantasy and sci-fi worlds are going to suck into this one episode now?
I
Because
could
that's
do more.
two. We got
I
Star
could
Wars.
do
Now we
more.
got Lord of the Rings.
I've just said some classics, but I could do more.
So yeah, she's an Amadecia. She's a guest of King Iolran, and she's trying to very intentionally build up support, get some promises out of him to help her retake her throne. She needs an army. She needs people. She needs military force behind her. Maybe he will do it, and then they can work something out. Some benefits and trade, some promises of special favors. I don't know.
Now,
Maybe she'll sleep with him. Something.
unbeknownst to her, she needs a cart and to go back to Camelin.
She needs a cart to go
Yeah,
back.
she just has to go back to Camelin at this point. She doesn't know that, but that's all it.
Well, we're getting
needs.
that. We're gonna get to that very quickly now, because okay, let's set the stage a little bit here. Morgase is trying to get help to regain the throne. She's here in Amadecia, but she's not by herself. She still has the companions that faithfully left Camelin with her. So she's Talonvor. Remind us of who it is.
Talonvor.
Young Talonvor. What's his deal?
The most loyal guard in the Queen's Guard. The one guy who left with her, but also is absolutely besmitten, but is also like not gonna take her shit sometimes.
He's PO'd right now, actually. Ticked off. He is not being very reverential to her. Why? What's his beef? What's the deal? He's basically telling her, "You screwed up, woman."
Yeah, he's like, there were other places we should have gone. Instead,
how about Gildan? Gildan's a nice place.
Directly into the maw of the thing that wants to eat you.
Well, what's the problem with Amadecia? I mean, King Iolran, no big deal.
Is a puppet for the White Cloaks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she hasn't been on very good terms with the Children of the Light, but that's not who she's dealing with. But now, they're there. Everybody knows it.
She's been not on good terms with the Children of the Light because she's been on historically good terms with those witches in Tar Valon. And kind of because of her time with Gabriel, that got strained. So it's like, maybe there is an opening here. Maybe.
Also with her are still Linny. Linny who?
The maid, the one that raised her, and Elaine. And probably will raise the next 3 generations of Chocans.
Linny, who is like the Dick Clark of the Wheel of Time. Do you get that reference?
Not off the top of my head. It rings a bell to where I'm like, I should get that reference. Do I?
Again, a generational thing, but this time it sides with me. I won't bother to explain. Also, Basil Gill and Lamgwin, and Lamgwin's companion Brienne. Who were they?
Well, she's from Kyrian.
Yes.
Lamgwin is the bouncer at Basil Gill's Inn, which was the Queen's blessing, which was loyal to the Queen, and Tom is good old friends with, but hasn't seen in like 25 years.
Nicely done. Lots of connections there. And Brienne has a thing going on with Lamgwin.
Yeah.
We did meet Brienne all the way back in Kyrian, But
yeah, isn't she the one that Tom said would give you an education that
oh, yeah,
everyone should get at least once?
indeed, indeed. So Lamgwid may enjoy his companion, one might say. Morghese believes that she's making progress. So she's a little irritated the Talonverse still giving her crap for being here. She's like, no, this is working. Iolran is this close to making a promise, to giving me his commitment, and then we'll have soldiers to go with us.
And this close is still nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Side note, Linny and Brienne, there's a little tension between them and Morghese because they are totally what's the word? Shipping. That's the word. They're totally shipping Morghese Talonvor.
Hmm.
And she's like, no, as you said, young Talonvor. No,
I'm much too old for him by being 5 years older than him.
But honestly, she kind of likes him. I mean, it's like grade school again when the boy is pulling the little girl's pigtails because he likes her but doesn't know how to express it.
Yeah, maybe we should teach young boys to express their feelings through words. Maybe that would be a good idea.
What? Oh man. Well, at this point, there is White Cloaks suddenly showing up to mess up everything. Okay, all in Morghese quarters are the women at this point. The men are elsewhere. But in walks a group of White Cloaks with Pedron Nile. And who's Pedron Nile? Remind us of that?
I mean, he might be the one who's actually in charge of this nation, considering he runs the White Cloaks.
Yeah, the High Lord Commander or Lord High Commander, Lord Captain Commander, one of those titles.
I think it's Lord Captain Commander. That feels right.
Yeah, there you go. He's the big cheese. Morghese had really hoped to have things arranged with Iolran before the White Cloaks actually discovered she was there. Apparently that gamble is over. And we learn a few more things here. One, Niall makes clear right off the bat, I'm not here to arrest you. Now, why might he be here to arrest her? What would be a legitimate reason White Cloaks would be arresting Queen Morghese? She done anything wrong?
Support and harbor witches? As far as I know, she hasn't murdered any White Cloaks.
Right. Well, it turns out there's some funky laws in Amadisha where she happens to be right now. One is having trained at the White Tower is illegal.
Mm.
And
so basically
she trained at the White Tower when she was young. Having associated with Aes Sedai is illegal. She has certainly associated. I mean, she had Elida as you know, her.
Can you
advisor.
define associate? Because I'm pretty sure you should be arrested at that point, depending on your definition.
Hypocrites never want to hear such things.
Correct.
But he said, I'm not here. I'm not here for any of that. Now, we do, in Morghese, panic mode, her mind goes back to her connection, her training. And we learn here specifically, Morghese, who does wear this finger. I forget which side. I think it's the left hand. Wears a serpent ring from her days training in the tower. But she's not an Aes Sedai. She barely had enough ability to touch the true source to do anything.
She's an Aes Sedai flunky that gets to wear the ring because she's flunky queen, and so it's an honorary, hey, you're with us, it's a whole thing. But if you were anyone else, we would have turned you away from the tower and said, you're fine, you're not a danger to yourself or anyone, because you're never going to do anything with the power.
Discord, #flunky. It was pretty good. She literally would struggle and work so hard to open herself to the power, and maybe 1 out of 5 times would feel something. And of the few times where she'd actually feel something, again, maybe 1 out of 5 times she could do the slightest little thing, like make a little candle flicker. I mean, that's it. She's got barely any ability at all.
Notably, not make a candle that is unlit flicker with flame. No. Just make it just waft a little, the flame that's already there.
So, even if they did arrest people who went and trained, she's like, what I did could barely be called training. But that's besides the point. She had an
Nonetheless, it's
association with the
still
White Court.
witchcraft.
They could, yep, doesn't matter. If you do anything with witchcraft, they're still going to find out if you can float.
I wonder what they think the creator does.
He's the light. He's good. He's also
Yeah,
male.
he's
That's probably where that's from, you know.
nah, because male one uses the one power need to get killed too.
Yeah, but he's different. But that's a tangent I don't want to go down right now. Just like the White Cloaks, they don't think about things they don't want to think about.
Amen.
That sounds like politicians I know. That's a tangent we're not going down. Niall assures Morghese again that he's not here to arrest her. Also, he knows what she's been up to. Trying to get Aileron's support, rally troops, and he's like, that's never gonna happen. Trust me. He's just leading you on. He might even imply that if you just do one more thing, just go one step farther. And he's even implying, you know, if you like got in my bed, then maybe I'd support you, but he'd still never support her. That's what Niall said. He doesn't
maybe
have the ability,
means
really.
won't.
Yeah.
It's just how far will you debase yourself for the chance?
Right? And then Niall flips it right away and says, but I can. I'm the guy who could do something. He also then drops at this point, and it wouldn't be as hard to do something to help you right now as you think, because Lord Gabriel, he's dead. First thing she hears. And implies the false dragon Randall Thor is the one who had something to do with it, and the false dragon Randall Thor has added Andor as another of his conquests.
Methinks you are using false a little too much in your verbiage.
And that is exactly what Morghese thinks. And calls him out. Why are you calling him the false dragon? Because he's fulfilled prophecies. It's pretty obvious. Most people think that he is actually the one who's the dragon reborn. And Niall points out, yeah, right. And every time he, quotations for those who are on podcast, fulfilled prophecy, there were always Aes Sedai around. I smell a puppet. I'm not falling for that one.
Which, to be fair, if he was, it's not like he would have been the first.
Right?
And it's not like the prophecies are a secret. In fact, people have to know they exist to be able to know he's fulfilling them. So, like, any old bloke could be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to fulfill these. And try. The theory behind it is only the Dragon Reborn can actually do all these things, and it's actually prophesy.
Yeah.
But theoretically, anyone could.
So Niall refuses to accept this is the true Dragon Reborn. He doesn't even believe in that nonsense at this point. What he does believe in is that there is going to be a Tarman Gaiden, and it's going to look just like the Trolloc Wars, when the Blight just unloads on the rest of the world hordes and hordes of Trollocs and Murdril and other Shadow Spawn, and we need to be ready for that. And I'm the guy. I and my White Cloaks, well, he didn't say White Cloaks, of course, pejorative term. I and the children of the light.
Oh, because that's so much better.
Will be the grand defense of the world. We will lead the forces of light against the forces of darkness, and we will overcome. That's what he believes.
I like how they think calling themselves children is somehow less insulting to themselves.
It's being humble.
Sure.
Now, he does have an idea of what to do, though, with the Dragon Reborn that we're going to come back to in another POV. But we're still in Morghese's POV, so we don't know what's going on in Niall's mind. We only get what he says. And so he has made an offer here now. I can help you. Here's reasons behind what's going on that I think can help you. Think about it. He does also toss in one little extra bit of the rumor, and that's that the people back in Camelin, they think Morghese is dead. They don't think she ran away. They think she's gone. And they think Elaine might be dead too. Evidence of that is there's talk of maybe raising the Lady Dylan to be the new queen. That would be a problem.
Yeah,
Morgan
it's okay though,
knows they
because
only do that if what?
if the line of succession is broken,
Right.
if
So,
she were to be dead or otherwise indisposed,
and
then
they're
someone
sure
else
that
could.
Elaine,
No, that was my point. If Elaine
if
was
Elaine
dead
is
or
dead, yeah, then
indisposed,
it would default to whoever else is strongest and all. Morghese, though, in my opinion, she isn't immediately reacting to, oh no, Elaine might be dead. She's actually reacting to, oh no, there might be chaos in Andor. And
which
that's,
is
for me,
very
her
fair
priority.
considering.
She wants peace in the country that she has an obligation to.
Let's start with the fact that she won the last Civil War. Did
And
it
she
get
doesn't
to
want to see the
full
country go through another
blown
one.
all out war? Maybe it was maybe more political machinations and subterfuge and power games, but she won
She did.
when the previous line of succession was broken, and that's why her family's on the throne.
And it didn't really get too nasty when she did it. She maneuvered things pretty swiftly, took a few people hostage, got things to go pretty quickly, but it could have got ugly. She had a guy kind of helping her out in the background too. Some guy
Less
named
spilt
Tom.
blood is good, but it's still blood getting spilled, and ultimately there's still too many people who are not on her side who are still alive.
Yeah, that's true. Well, enough of that. Niall ends the discussion. Promises to return in a day or two. Just think about my offer, and I'll be back. And I'm going to leave some guards with you, just to, keep you safe here. Which tips Morghese off to the truth of the rumors of something you said earlier, Zach? White Cloak's real power in Amadisha. Why would she need guards when she's staying with under King Iolron's protection? Because he's got nothing. It's
and because it's not their protection, it's their custody.
Oh. So, with the White Cloaks departing, Talonvor, Basil, and Lamgwin rush in. Now, were they during the White Cloak thing? I mean, she was like, "Where are they?" and a little worried something might have happened to them.
Oh no, it's fine.
Sorta.
Talonvor was just unconscious.
Yeah, sort of something did happen to them. They were detained outside the tent, so Niall could have his conversation with Morghese. But you can't detain Talon. He physically was forcing himself through them back in to defend Morghese. Yeah, and he got clubbed with the hilt of a sword, knocked silly.
Yeah, it doesn't really help when it's 17-1.
Right? But when they get in and they're worried, Morghese snaps at Talonvor for his failure to protect her. Doesn't even wait to hear what happened. He gets angry. Okay, we got emotions going here, people. He's scared for her, rushes in, demanding to know what happened. Are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, now you care. But she was concerned something might have happened. So now she's reacting.
It's a little messy.
They have the hots for each other, people. It's pretty obvious. You just got to read between the lines here, because they don't react with rational mind. They react.
I want to give another perspective here.
Oh, okay, lay it on us.
She did also get told, "Hey, your kingdom's not what you thought it was. Your daughter might be dead. There might be civil war." There's a lot of things going on in her head and emotions right now that aren't all just Talonvor. Yeah, Talonvor's there, but her lashing out isn't just this irrational emotional response. It's also,
but it's still emotions. It's still emotions.
All these other things that are going on. Maybe it wasn't the most logical, best move to immediately snap at someone who theoretically is on your side, but you need to lash out somewhere, and that's where she chooses to focus that.
So if you can't do anything about what the real problem is, take it out on someone you can just recklessly hurt.
It doesn't mean it's okay, but it's definitely a possibility of what's
It's
going on
definitely
here.
what she does. Talonvor is quite offended. He brushes it off and storms back out of the tent, at which time Basil shares what had happened to them outside. Now she feels a little bad. It's like, okay, I overreacted. I didn't wait to hear the whole story. So I apologize to both of you, and please pass on my apology to young Talonvor.
Because I won't be seen apologizing to him myself.
Now, at this point, Brienne makes some snide comment of, the best way to apologize might be to trip in the garden. Which she is so fed up with. Morghese, dealing with these things from Linny and Brienne, she just loses it again. Out! Out!
That's really an Andorran response to a Kyrian jab. It fits with their different cultural sensibilities.
But they're all chased out. Now she's alone, stewing in her own thoughts for a couple of minutes when someone brand new to her walks in, but not brand new to us. A boy named Pater Connell of Andor. We have met Pater before. Do you remember where we met Pater? It was books and books ago.
I see it written here, and I'm trying to remember where this actually
Grand Matt
happened.
Encountered him at one of the towns they stopped at, one of the taverns along their lonely travel on the way to Camelin when they were separated from the rest of the group. And as they're sitting in a tavern, Pater comes up to them, tries to interact with them, makes some comment like he's thinking.
Was this in Four Kings or something?
It was before Four Kings, because it's why they're recognized in Four Kings.
Gotcha.
What had happened at Market Sharon, an earlier town, and news spread ahead of them. And in that encounter, Rand broke Pater's nose. Just out of nowhere, punches him in the face, knocks him on his can, and Pater starts yelling at them, and they get out of town.
Yeah, that was a good country bumpkin sucker punch move. Nothing fancy or special, but he's built from physical labor.
And remember, during this time, both Matt and Rand were not at their best. As Matt was having some altering experiences and Rand was having some altering experiences. And so they're both slightly unstable when they came across Pater.
Yeah.
Well, now Pater is here in Amadicia.
Well, that can't be good.
He and his uncle, he's traveling with his uncle, have seen and recognized Queen Morghese. So Pater has stopped by to say, my uncle is working up a plan to help you with your difficulties. We're going to get you out of here. Just give us some time. We'll send you a sign. We're here with you. We're loyal Andor men. Okay.
Yeah, look that gift horse in the mouth. Do it.
She sits Pater down and says, let's talk. Tell me more about this. Tell me about your uncle. Tell me about what you've been up to. Pater's like, really uncomfortable now sitting down here, but it's the queen. And so this scene ends with her putting him through the third degree. Now we jump to another POV, and it's over to Pedron Nile. He's left Morghese feeling quite satisfied with himself. He's returning to his quarters at the Fortress of the Light. And we learn from his mind this bit about the dragon, and that he has to be ready to fight Tarmangaiden. Again, he dismisses all this as mythological bunk. He just needs the people to be ready for when he's sure forces of dark will come again. They've come before, they'll come again, and we're gonna be ready to face the threat. That's his whole focus. So there's no, I'm denying to follow the Dragon Reborn. No, he's like, that's all hooey, whatever you want to call it. It's just nonsense stuff. He's aware of the prophecies, but they're bunk. You don't believe in
prophecies are some things that witches wrote a few thousand years ago.
Right. As he returns to his quarters, two men are waiting for him. One is his secretary, a measly little man named Balwer, and then
Interesting.
Jacob Carradine.
Ooh,
We
he's a
have met
bad guy.
Jacob before.
He's a bad guy in many ways.
Yeah. Why? What do we know
Well,
about him?
one, he's a questioner. In fact, he's the head of the questioners.
No, it's not the head, but he is high up in the
He's high
questioners.
up at least. He was
He's
head
an
of the Tome and Head
inquisitor.
section.
He's an inquisitor, but there is
Questioner.
someone above him. But Carradine is high enough. It's logical to assume one day he might become the head inquisitor.
Point being, he was in charge of a lot of the questioning work on Tome and Head.
Yes.
He has been involved with some unsavory bits of White Cloak business. The questioners are the part of the organization that it really has the worst reputation for good reason. Most of the other children don't feel comfortable with them. Oh yeah, and he's also a dark friend.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Now Niall doesn't know that second part. He just knows him as an inquisitor, a zealot for the cause. He also knows the dude has hit a streak of bad luck because the mission in Falme was a bust. He was also in charge over in Tanchico, where that whole chaos erupted. And so last two primary missions that he's been on orders from Niall have ended disastrously. And as he looks at Carradine, he's like, and it shows this guy doesn't look like an up and coming inquisitor. He looks like he's going prematurely gray. Now, we know there are reasons for that. Because you mentioned he's got dual loyalties.
He might also be stressed by completely different orders from the dark that are then also threatening and
And
hurting
as
him.
he has totally dropped the ball on some of his missions for the Children of the Light, he's also been dropping the ball on his missions for the dark. So, yeah, sucks to be him these days.
Yeah.
Carradine's here because he was summoned by Pedro Niall, and it's safe to assume he's thinking, I'm in trouble again. But that's not why he's been summoned. Actually, Niall intends to put him to work again. He's going to give him another chance, which tells us something about Carradine. Before this nonsense he's fallen into bad lines on, he must have been an effective inquisitor. He
Got
had
the job
risen high.
done.
Yeah. Now, what Carradine is thinking is, okay, you do have something for me. So is it really going to happen now? Am I going to take some white cloaks? Children, sorry. Am I going to take some of our men to Saladar? Am I going to Altara to round up these women and deal with these witches?
No.
No. But Niall says, you are going to Altara and Murundi. I have plans for you out there. You're going to pose as Dragonsworn. Basically, he wants him to do stuff similar to what he was doing out on Tome and Head.
Like, it worked so well for you there. We're gonna do the same
Sure.
plan, a little different.
What's the definition of insanity? Repeat the same thing that didn't work without any changes and expect it to work this time. But okay, here's Niall's ultimate plan. Well, what is his plan? What is he thinking with the Dragon Reborn out there, and now sending Carradine to a place where basically people are supporting the dragon? What's the deal?
Basically, it's a smear campaign, except with like stakes that might lead to like injury, death, loss of property. He's trying to make people lose favor in terms of the Dragon Reborn, the White Tower, and be like, hey, these are bad. They do bad things. Come to my safety and shelter as I am the powerful leader
Yes.
who will lead you through this.
Rand Althor is doing all the successful work of bringing much of the nations together under one banner. If he can then take that group and get them to turn away from the dragon and call out to the Children of the Light, save us from this horrible man. So let's get some of the Dragonsworn, those who follow him, to cause the people to turn against him. Look
Now,
what his
I'm
followers
just going to say there's a much easier solution here.
Yeah.
It's called teaming up. you wouldn't be in charge, and you have to like let him maybe have some credibility here. But if you just like reached out and were like, "Hey, let's work together," it would
require communication. You know they don't do that in the Wheel of Time.
He's communicating with Carradine right here.
And that'll work real well, too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and switch to another POV, I think, next.
A very interesting one.
I need to go blow my nose because I'm a faucet right now.
All right, go leak, dude. Forcefully. While he does that, though, let me set the table, and he's got my notes. He'll catch us. We're jumping over to a gathering of Forsaken. Ooh. The Forsaken are gathered somewhere we can't quite identify. It's a different place. But it looks odd. There's some strangeness to the surroundings. You might be able to discern where they are. But I'm not going to tell you. And who do we meet? Well, first of all, we're in a POV we have not yet been in, and that's Miss Anna's. One of the Forsaken we've heard of, but I believe this is our first sighting of her. And she's waiting alongside Semirhage, another one we've heard of, but I believe this is our first sighting of Semirhage. And the two of them are just killing some time, waiting for others to arrive. So, Zach, I just mentioned we've got our first sightings of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mesa Anna and Semirhage. I don't think we'd seen them. We've heard them mentioned, but I think this is our first time meeting them.
We've seen at least one of them before.
Which one?
One of them we saw in the meeting of the Forsaken down below that Nynaeve spied on. I think Semirhage.
Semirhage at that, you think?
I think so.
I'm sure we have not
two
seen
male
Anna before.
And two female Forsaken.
No,
and it wasn't Mogideon.
I thought it was Lanfear and Grendel at that meeting. Pretty sure it was.
Maybe?
And Mogideon was hiding off in the background watching. I'm pretty sure it was Lanfear and Grendel, Ravine, and Samael.
That's possible.
Yeah. And they talked about, nobody knew exactly where Mesa Anna or Semirhage were. They knew they were up to something, but no one knew exactly where they were. But now, here they are. We still don't learn where they are hiding, but they're here for a meeting. And eventually we find they're also meeting with Demandred, who called the meeting, and Grendel. Now, we've met both Demandred and Grendel. Demandred we just met earlier in the prologue. Grendel, what was at the end of the last book?
That was the beginning of the prologue.
That was the beginning of this prologue?
Pretty sure.
I'm like, part of me's going, wait a second. Was that the end of the last book?
No.
Nope.
That was the beginning of this
prologue started. That's how big the prologue is, man. Criminy. I wasn't even sure. It's the very first word in the book is Demandred. I just looked.
Yeah.
So, but Grendel, yeah, we totally know Grendel. Demandred and Grendel do not arrive together, but finally we have all four of them here. And again, we've learned already that Demandred is the one who called the meeting after having met with the Dark Lord. And we know that he met with the Dark Lord and this really tall Virgil named Shider Haran. Demandred, we learn here, through the POV of Masana. And I always struggle with that name. Sometimes I'll say Masana. Sometimes I'll say Mesa Anna. Whatever.
There's no apostrophe. I'll say Masana.
Yeah.
There's no glottal stop.
But Demandred is one of the Forsaken who was back in the Age of Legends. Before he turned bad, he was nearly as strong, nearly as powerful, nearly as successful as Lews Therin Telamon.
He was always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Totally. And the fact that he was almost in every category is what turned him to the dark. He was tired of never quite measuring up. He was still better than everybody else, but that wasn't good enough.
Is like a good, fine, dumb reason to turn evil, except for the fact that, in my general opinion, it's a little bit of a lame cop-out reason when we've got Samael, Ravine, and Demandred basically all going, yeah, I'm never going to be as good as that guy, so let's go evil.
Yep.
It's like, okay, all of these Forsaken, all of these interesting, compelling reasons that could be, why are three of the most powerful? Because they're jealous of this guy who's a little better than them.
But forget those punks, Ravine and Samael. Damandred, when he turns to the dark, is the most powerful of the male Forsaken. He finally has what he wants. He is the strongest. He is the best. As long as Lews Therin doesn't turn bad.
There's not a third power, because if there was a third power, then Samael and Ravine probably would have gotten to that one, because they'd be second fiddle to Damandred.
And then if there was a fourth part, okay, enough. Anyways, Samael, where's he? He's not coming to this meeting. We learn he's hunkering down in Ilion. He's gathering his forces.
He's hiding in his beehive.
Paranoid now. Why would he be paranoid?
Well,
what did he do in the last book that could make him paranoid?
He might have done a direct attack at Rand, which he saw what happened when a direct attack at Rand happened, when Rand went, hey, big old thing of balefire, Ravine.
Yeah, Ravine went, ba, 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 and Samael, don't want that, so. Samael has been tearing Ilion apart, looking for, and trying to search elsewhere as well, looking for any Angreal or Sa-Angreal that a man could use. And he hasn't been able to find them. Why would he be looking for them? And what does the fact that he can't find any suggest about these items?
One, he's looking for them because it's ways to enhance or bolster.
Yep, that's right. You heard it here. You've heard it here. Samael needs male enhancement.
That's what he's looking for. Male power enhancement. In some way, shape, or form. At least augmentation. It's not exactly like a supercharge or a battery.
Augmentation. This gets better and better.
Modifying his power level with different items. Or at least he'd like to. We know Rand has an Angreal that a male channeler can use. That little fat man. He also might be in possession of an access key to a Sa-Angreal.
The biggest ever made.
But these are things that apparently are either extremely rare, like maybe there weren't a whole lot of them in the first place because men were so powerful that maybe we shouldn't make them more powerful, or the White Tower has gone out of their way over the last 3,000 years to bury, destroy, or whatever, all of these, because, hey, male channelers go mad and break the world. Maybe we shouldn't make them more powerful.
We have learned there are two primary collections of Angreal, potentially Sa-Angreal. One of them is the White Tower. They've gathered as many as they can. Yes, as you say, maybe they've hidden, destroyed, buried some of them. I don't sense these are things easy to destroy, but you can
but I'm sure a couple of them got broken when people went full LTT on themselves and created other dragon mounts.
Possibly. Okay. The other collection is in the Stone of Tyr, which is heavily guarded and heavily warded. The Stone of Tyr was made with the help of Aes Sedai. Now, in Tyr, they don't like Aes Sedai. Nevertheless, magic's involved. We don't talk about it. Okay?
Now,
and so stones are warded. They are protected. You can't just walk in and take stuff out of there.
We should mention the third cache that until recently was unknown about, which is the items that came from Meridian.
Correct.
Which also had been protected, no longer really was, because Rand and Asmodean kind of broke it.
Our understanding, of course, were those things were on their way to the White Tower to join the collection.
At this point, yes.
Yes. But there is another category we learned from these Forsaken. There are more of these things out there. They're just likely at the bottom of the sea and buried under mountains. Because of the breaking of the world, a lot of things were just plain out lost.
I mean, let's talk about buried. That Choden Call that we saw being excavated outside Cairhien.
They didn't build it on the ground originally.
No.
Exactly. Messiana notes that the ones in the White Tower and the Stone of Tears, she's the one that knows. They're all heavily guarded. They're all warded. Really, they're untouchable. Otherwise, we just all go raid those. It's a question people often have. Why don't they fucking go get all the power things? Because they can't. Maybe they're going to try eventually. Maybe some will. We know Black Aja, who fled the White Tower, had
They took
stolen some power tools.
but
Yeah.
it's at least something that you can't just like you walk in, you take it, and no one's gonna notice.
Right.
They're at least gonna notice. If not, there's certain traps and things that you might not disable all of them, and it might be lethal.
Now, all this background knowledge from Messiana, but in the actual meeting, they finally do get out to Demandred. Why the heck did you call us together? What are you supposed to tell us? What's the message from the Dark Lord? It's actually
The
very
title
simple.
of the book.
Title card. Lord of Chaos. The message specifically is let the Lord of Chaos rule.
Roll credits.
What does that mean, Zach?
Great question.
Well, they know one aspect of it is don't screw with the Dragon Reborn.
Just
let him do his thing, whatever it's going to be.
Because to be honest, he's gonna mess up and blow it up in his own face, probably.
Possibly.
So let it happen. Let things fester. Let him cook.
Okay, now we're going to a final POV jump. We're nearly to the end of the prologue. And this sees us with two people in some unknown location. We're just told it's another place where things look a little disturbing and unusual. We can't be sure where it's at. We could draw conclusions perhaps, but we won't right now. It's just some undisclosed location, a little magical. And we're meeting two people, Osengar, whose POV we're in, and Arengar.
These ones have apostrophes. They have glottal stops.
They do. And what do we learn? Well, Osengar is a name that he just got. Like, he was asleep, it's in quotes, and awakened. But the sleep, you get the impression, as you keep reading,
he slept like the dead.
Yeah, he was dead, okay? It was the sleep of the dead. He was dead and was awoken from death. We get this from this part of the prologue. And he woke up not as himself, but with a new face and a new body. And it comes with a new name, Osengar. His old name is gone forever. And he hears, as he's awakened with this new name, the voice of his master, calling him awake, and also calling this woman awake, Arengar. Can we discern who the master is? I think so.
Yeah, it's a great lord.
A great lord, indeed. Osengar and Arengar are actually names from the Age of Legends. They were a matching pair of daggers used in for a very brief period of time, shortly before the closing of the Boar, for duels. And this particular kind of dueling didn't last very long because both these daggers were coated in poison. So both contestants usually died from these duels, and it was banned. Okay, so
it was like it's a duel to the death, except it's probably a duel to both of your death, because a little nick will kill you.
These names are foreshadowing. You know, they've been intentionally named after small, deadly weapons. As they're sitting there, both of them unsettled that we're now different people, a Murdril appears among them, taller than any that they can ever recall seeing. Now, there's a clue. They've seen other Murdril. Yeah. They're judging this one against as they've known.
And at this point, we as readers are going, "Sup, Shadowhuron?"
Yeah. But clearly this is the first time they've encountered this guy. Arengar goes off on this creature, demanding to know why this has been done, why this new body. Very upset. More upset than Osengar. They are told, these were the best bodies available in the Borderlands. You should be pleased. Arengar is not pleased. In fact, Erengar seems to be getting pretty worked up. Osengar preemptively reaches out to the source to just touch the power, try to channel, which tells us something. By the way, he can't. When he tries, he can sense it, but he can't do anything with it. But the fact that he knew to reach out to it, what do we know now? Osengar is a category of character.
At the very least, a Dreadlord.
Some evil, dark person who can channel. Erengar, Osengar senses, also can't touch the power and physically attacks the Murdril, which
I'm sure that goes well.
The coolest way. And Shida Haran just casually reaches out with his hand, grabs Erengar by the neck, and lifts her off the ground.
Look,
Dangling.
I'm taller. You can't touch the ground.
Yeah. And then continues to converse with Osengar and Erengar, but Erengar is slowly turning purple. Can't breathe. Shares that they have not been severed, but they will not be permitted to channel at this time. Whoa. Not permitted. The discussion goes on, and it is confirmed here. These are both not just Dreadlords, these are Forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
But Forsaken named Osengar and Erengar, except that they used to have different names and they were dead. There's a mystery there.
We know a couple dead Forsaken.
Which Forsaken do we know
like
are dead?
5, 4.
So we've got, if we start at the beginning, the first one we saw dead was Agenor? No.
Balthamel, and then Agenor.
Then Bilal.
Then technically next is Bilal, and then Baalzamon.
Right. And then Lanfear.
Is the question mark.
And then Ravine. So really there's 6.
And then Asmodean.
Probably. No! Yeah, Asmodean. So we've got all these dead
options.
So is this saying 2 of them have been brought back in new bodies?
Maybe.
Quite possibly. And then they get their marching orders. Along the way, finally, Osengar mentions that Erengar is like almost dead again. So Shida Haran does release the grip. Erengar drops to the ground.
Starts getting you in another body. So
yep. And their marching orders are, well, that's where the prologue ends. So we don't get to hear what the marching orders are, but trust us, it's fascinating. It's worth sneezing, apparently. That's where we're going to stop here for today. That's the end of the prologue. We are going to go into a real quick spoiler room section, spoiler zone room. Which do we call it?
I don't know. You've got an audio for it.
Wow. Well, let's play that. But go away now. If you're a first-time reader.
If you're not further than this, and when I say further, I mean if you haven't completed the series, because we're probably going to ruin something.
I'm going to spoil this book. So if you haven't read this book.
Yeah. We appreciate you. Now kindly get out and join us next time.
Bye.
The spoiler room.
There we go. Let's roll.
Room, by the way.
The spoiler room. I'm rolling my big one. Here we go. Boom. Oh, I got, for the first time ever,
well, then I think you go first.
I think so. Okay, Osengar and Erengar. Come on, it's the low-hanging fruit. These are amazing. The first time I read this, I didn't know reading. I didn't know who these guys were. But it's Agenor and Balthamel. They're back. And they're fascinating what they get used for. You don't find out that Osengar is going to appear as a Ashaman for a long time. You think he's one that's actually on Rand's side, and it's revealed he's a bad guy all the way at the end of book 9.
And he ends up getting taken out like almost on accident, but not really.
It's totally cool. No, it's kind of on accident. Yeah, it's cool. And then, of course, Erengar, who's so mad because he is now in a woman's body And he don't like that because he liked women. He liked doing things to women. This guy had a kink on, man. And now he is a woman. He's
Let's.
going to warm up to it. He's going to warm up to it. But he's going to end up becoming Halima camp. And it's a fascinating character because he can screw with these women and they can't tell because he's still channeling the male side of the power, even though he's in a woman's body. So it's a great way to go undercover.
Interesting thing. It's definitely an interesting thing.
I think it's great. It's a fantastic element to the story. So there you go. They both will die eventually because most bad people do.
A lot of good ones do too.
What are you going to spoil?
I want to talk about another cache of Angreal and Saw Angreal because they just keep popping up. Like we keep being like, there's not that many of them. They're really rare and hidden, and it's like, well, except every country seems to have their own. Because let's go to Abu Dar for a second, and they've got their whole storehouse of Angreal, Terre Angreal, Saw Angreal.
Yep.
They've got a whole collection too.
Oh wait, don't the Shanshan have a collection too?
Plot point. So, really, it's rare in that they don't publicly tell people, and most of the people who have these have them locked away, and no one actually uses them.
They keep secrets,
which is really unfortunate because a lot of these would be very useful for so many things.
Indeed.
They were designed for purposes.
Yep.
And not even the Aes Sedai use most of the ones they have.
Not even. So there we go. Good thing Elaine's going to be able to make new ones. Oh, that's a third spoiler. My bad.
Freebie.
All right, there we go. Hour and a half. Pretty typical length once we got past all our technology foolishness at the beginning.
And next time, we'll get through more than half a prologue.
That's right. We'll even do some chapters next time.
No.
But that is next time. So let's run our outro, and just let this go. And I'll cover the mic so maybe it doesn't echo.
Oh, it will.
It will. We do thank all of you for watching. If you are a Patreon supporter already, thanks so much. If not, find us, Fantasy for the Ages, on patreon.com. And we hope you'll come and join us on all the other places. We've got over 100 people on Discord chit-chat with us about all sorts of books we're reading and silliness we're finding and shows we're watching. And we do have an email. There it is. Send us an email. That's all I got. Use that?
Nothing.
Okay. We'll talk to you next time.